Welcome to the deep dive. We got the materials you sent on LIC's Index Plus. That's Plan 8733.
Yeah,
So we're going to unpack that right now. Consider this your guide to, what makes it tick.
exactly. We've looked through all of it: eligibility, benefits, the funds, charges, the whole lot.
Good.
It seems to be a blend, really. Risk cover plus some equity investment and these guaranteed additions, which certainly catch the eye.
Absolutely. That mix feels like the core idea here.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Who can actually get this plan?
Okay, eligibility. It starts surprisingly early, 90 days old, completed days, that is.
Oh, right.
And it goes right up to age 60 near a birthday. Now, the life cover amount, the basic sum assured,
Uh-huh.
that's tied to your annualized premium. It's either 7 times or 10 times that premium.
7 or 10 times. What decides which one?
It depends on your age when you start and also the age you choose for the policy to mature.
Mhm.
Generally, if you're younger and aiming for a later maturity date, you can get that higher 10 times multiplier.
Makes sense. Longer runway, potentially more cover needed early on. What about the policy duration itself? How long can it run?
The term can be from 10 years up to 25 years, but there's a little detail here based on the premium.
Mhm.
If your annualized premium is under RS 48,000, the term options are actually 15 to 25 years. If you pay RS 48,000 or more annually, then you get the full range, 10 to 25 years.
I see. And minimum payments.
Yeah, there are minimums depending on how often you pay. Like yearly, it's RS 30,000 minimum, half yearly is 15,000, quarterly 7,500, and monthly is 2,500.
Got it. So flexibility, but with floors. Now, those guaranteed additions we mentioned earlier,
Yeah,
when do they actually, kick in?
right. The guaranteed edition, they start adding up from the end of the sixth policy year.
Okay, year 6.
Yes. And then again at the end of years 10, 15, 20, and finally 25. It's a percentage of your annualized premium.
And the percentage varies.
It does. It depends on that annualized premium amount again and the policy year. It can range from, say, 3% or 5% at year 6, going up to maybe 18% or even 30% by year 25 for those paying higher premiums.
The reward sticking with it.
Definitely a long-term incentive. But keep in mind, if you make partial withdrawals later on, these guaranteed additions might get reduced proportionally.
Okay, that's important. And speaking of withdrawals, what if you need some cash before the policy ends?
You can make partial withdrawals, but only after the first 5 years are completed. That's the lock-in period.
5 years. Okay.
After that, the amount you can pull out is a percentage of the fund value, and that percentage limit changes depending on which policy year you're in. For instance, years 6 to 10, you might be able to withdraw up to 20%.
Are there other conditions?
Yes. You also need to maintain a minimum fund balance after the withdrawal, and that minimum is linked back to your annualized premium amount. Oh, and worth noting, for ULPs like this, if your total annual premium is up to 2.5 lakhs, the returns could potentially be tax-free.
Good point on the tax side. Now, this is equity linked. What are the investment fund choices?
There are 2 options provided: the Flexi Growth Fund and the Flexi Smart Growth Fund.
Okay.
Both mainly invest in listed equity shares. Think NSE NFTY 100 for the first one and FTY 50 for the second. They aim for 40% to 100% in equities.
So heavily equity focused. Any other assets?
Yes, they can also put money into government securities, corporate debt that's between 0% and 20%, and also short-term money market stuff up to 40%.
And the risk level?
This is crucial. Both funds are categorized as very high risk.
Very high risk. Okay, that's clear. Potential for growth, but also significant potential for loss.
Exactly. Market volatility is key here.
So with investments come charges. What costs are involved?
Right, charges. There are a few types. First, premium allocation charges. These come off the top of your premium, mostly in the early years.
Higher at the start.
Generally, yes. For example, offline might be 8% in year 1, maybe 3% if you buy online. It reduces over time.
Yeah, what else?
Then you have policy administration charges. These don't start until the 6th year, and they increase slightly each year based on a formula. And of course, fund management charges, since it's an investment. For these growth funds, it's 1.35% per year of the fund value.
1.35%. Any others? Smaller ones?
Yeah, there are charges for switching between the 2 funds. You get 4 free switches a year. Then it's RS 100, also RS 100 for making a partial withdrawal, and potentially miscellaneous charges for other services.
Seems like a few different layers of cost.
Yeah.
Now, the life cover part, the death benefit, how does that work?
The payout to the nominee is the highest of 3 things. 1, the basic sum assured.
The 7 or 10 times premium we talked about?
Exactly, though it might be reduced if you've made certain types of partial withdrawals before death. 2, the value of the units in your fund at that time. Or 3, 105% of all the premiums paid until death, again, potentially reduced by some withdrawals.
So whichever is highest gives the benefit.
Correct. It provides a floor, but allows for upside from the fund growth. Like the example given, a 1 lakh annual premium with the 10 times option gives a base cover of 10 lakhs.
Clear. What about stopping early, surrendering the policy?
Okay, surrender. You can surrender any time, but remember that 5-year lock-in.
Right, the lock-in.
If you surrender during those first 5 years, your fund value, minus any discontinuance charges, gets moved. It goes into something called the discontinued policy fund.
And what's that?
It usually earns a minimum guaranteed interest rate, often lower than the main funds. You only get this money back after the 5-year lock-in period ends.
And after 5 years.
If you surrender after the lock-in, you simply get the unit fund value as it stands on that date. No discontinuance charge then.
Okay, and what if someone just stops paying premiums, doesn't formally surrender?
If you stop paying premiums after the grace period, again, it depends on whether it's during or after the lock-in. Within the first 5 years, it's similar to surrender the fund value minus charges goes to the discontinued policy fund until the lock-in ends.
And after 5 years?
After the lock-in, if you stop paying, the policy might become paid up. This means the life cover continues, but at a reduced amount, based on the premiums you have paid relative to the total planned. The fund continues to be invested.
Got it. Any other features we should quickly touch on?
Yeah, a couple of things. You can't increase or decrease your chosen sum assured later on.
Fixed at the start.
Right, and you can't add extra funds as top-up premiums. Also, importantly, no loans are available against this policy.
And no loans, okay.
Standard grace periods apply for paying premiums 30 days for most modes, 15 for monthly. And if it lapses, you generally have 3 years to revive it by paying back premiums subject to conditions.
Okay, good to know. So let's try to wrap this up. Our deep dive into LIC's Index Plus 873 shows it's mixing equity market investment with life cover.
That's the core.
Potential for growth, that death benefit safety net, and those guaranteed additions as a long-term kicker. But
It's got the charges, the very high-risk nature of the equity funds, and that definite 5-year lock-in period to consider seriously.
right, it's not a short-term plan by any means.
Definitely not. So the key takeaway, or maybe the question for you, the listener, is this. Knowing the high-risk profile and the costs involved,
Yeah.
how does this kind of plan actually fit with your own financial picture, your tolerance for market swings? And what else might you need to dig into to feel confident it's the right move for you?